You're listening to Heroes in the Moment. What's up, heroes? I'm Michael.
And I'm Nathan.
And today we're doing our Oscars breakdown. The 96th Oscars just happened this past Sunday. And now we're breaking it down. We were going to originally do some predictions beforehand, but just the times did not work out for that. So instead, we're doing a full breakdown for you, talking about, and we're just going to do the main categories: Best Supporting Actress and Actor, Best Animated Feature, Best Director, Best Song, Best Score, then Best Actress, Best Actor, and Best Picture. Okay. Is what we're going to be talking about today. But we're super excited. I think this year's Oscars was really good.
I thought it was really good.
I think it was entertaining. I really think it was a really good job. Specifically, the big takeaways besides the awards were Ryan Gosling's "I'm Just Ken" performance was, that was one of the best performances I've seen at the Oscars. I thought it was incredible.
These people want live, raw performances versus,
I thought it was absolutely brilliant. My next takeaway was the reunion of Arnold Schwarzenegger and what's his name? Danny DeVito. When they got together
Michael
for twins.
Keaton killed it.
Oh, it was great with the whole Batman skit.
I saw a lot of people saying that part was better than the whole Flash movie. They were like, all right. That was something.
That's fair. But I thought that was so funny. Him being Penguin, great. Mr. Freeze. It was a funny bit. Skit. Michael Keaton be like, "Come here, come fight." It was just absolutely fantastic in that capacity. Was a lot of fun there. And then the next also takeaway was there was a lot of Madam Web jokes, which was just funny. The first one was from Jimmy Kimmel saying, think about next year's Oscars. Madam Web. Up there. And then what was his name?
John Mulaney.
John Mulaney, who is introducing some of the stuff, and he was like, some of the best dialogue we've seen. Got to get a bigger boat, and this and the whatever. And then this is the person that was in the Amazon rainforest with my mother studying spiders when she died. That was hilarious. Yeah, it was so funny.
It's certainly up there with "He's right behind me, isn't he?"
Yeah, exactly. Oh gosh, it was hilarious, and I absolutely just love that. So to get into it, to discuss, let's get into Best Supporting Actress, the first Oscar given to the night, to where they had previous Supporting Actress winners come up to give some speeches before the award, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
And the nominations for this included Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer, Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers, Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple, America Ferrera for Barbie, and Jodie Foster for Inyad. And so for these particular instances, obviously Emily Blunt Oppenheimer she killed it.
She was one of the top two.
I knew as soon as she performed in in Oppenheimer that she would get a nomination. I thought her performance was incredible. It was definitely encapsulating, especially in the end when she wouldn't hold the hand of the dude and wouldn't shake his hand, and then her speech at the end. It was just really, really great, impactful performance. The next one, Danielle Brooks of The Color Purple. What about that one? Did you think?
Who went to see this movie?
Not a lot.
The question, the thing that surprised me, I believe that Spielberg produced this movie.
Yes.
Which seemed very odd to me.
Now I do think Danielle Brooks is very talented. She's in Broadway, very talented actress, very talented singer. But for an Oscar nomination, I think she was bottom of the list.
I feel like these movies should actually have to be decent, for you to win.
I think The Color Purple wasn't bad, but.
I don't know.
Yeah, I understand. I do understand.
I wasn't the biggest fan, let's say.
I get it. The next nomination was America Ferrera for Barbie, and I
thought she was good.
I thought she was good. I don't think it was worthy of a nomination.
I don't either.
But I'm also surprised she didn't win. I thought she was going to win for a little bit there. Well, I'm glad she did.
Like you said, like any other year, she wouldn't get a nomination. I just don't see it. I'm not a huge fan. But I really just didn't think she delivered.
I didn't either.
I didn't either. Like
I'm saying I thought she would have, just because of the Academy and how they've done in the past. But yes, it was a decent performance and it was good. It wasn't bad by any means, but I don't think it was necessarily worthy of a Best Supporting Actress nom. In my opinion,
I agree.
Compared to, I think Margot Robbie deserved more of a nomination than America Ferrera. And to be honest, I don't think Margot Robbie deserved to win. Lead actress. Lead actress. I think she deserved a nom, not a win, but a nomination. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
When it comes to Jodie Foster for Inyad, now I did watch Inyad, and I actually let me rephrase. I didn't finish it, so I wasn't a huge fan of it. Now, Jodie Foster, I am a fan of.
Yeah,
I think she's
a
great.
legend.
She is a legend in her own right. Incredible. She's a classic star. And I don't know. She may have won other Oscars before this. I'm not sure if this was her first nomination or not, or first potential win. And Enya itself, I wasn't really into, but Jodie Foster is very talented.
Yeah, kind of like I said, I didn't believe it was the greatest movie. I did think her performance in it was absolutely phenomenal. But I do think just she got outshined by some bigger names and some better movies.
Right.
Which is truly the case.
Agree. All right. And this next one, who was the winner, was Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. Absolutely deserving.
Yeah.
I think if she didn't win, Emily Blunt would have been a great choice. But The Holdovers, phenomenal movie, by the way, is a great, impactful story. And her portrayal of this mother who was grieving and losing her son and being consumed with alcohol and being consumed and having to work for this prep school kitchen and being treated like dirt a lot of the times and all of this capacity. It was just, in her performance, it made you feel.
Yeah.
And that's what the Academy, I think, is looking for. Really. It did. It made you resonate with this character. So I think absolutely worthy of this reward.
Yeah.
In all aspects, for sure.
Yeah. Like I said, going into the night, I did think it was it might have been an even split between her and Emily Blunt.
I agree.
I do agree with this award. She has felt human, man, in this certain role. And even if you haven't gone through the same struggles, you're gonna help but just empathize with their character. And even though she's a supporting actress, to me at times it felt like she was kind of the main part of the film.
Absolutely.
Whereas I can't say the same for Blunt's character in Oppenheimer.
Right.
But this is very well deserved.
I agree. All right, for the next portion, we're going to talk about animated feature film. The nominations for this were Elemental, Nimona, The Boy and the Heron, Robot Dreams, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now,
Elemental
was nominated, and honestly, it's fair. I do like
That is
Elemental
wild.
better than most. I think Elemental was a good movie, but to be fair, there wasn't a lot of animated movies this year anyway.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. What even
these were
was.
like the only ones that were made.
You told me that. Migration. Did that come out this year? Last year?
I think it was like December, so it was like too late for Oscar season.
Yeah.
But from what I heard, Migration's pretty good. But specifically, let's spend time talking about The Boy and the Heron and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So a lot of people are saying absolutely a rob from Across the Spider-Verse, but you've seen Boy and the Heron. I personally haven't had the experience of seeing it. I originally did say robbed, but I don't have the validity to say that, having not seen The Boy and the Heron. Everybody has said it's good. My sister-in-law has seen it. She actually said it was decent.
She likes it?
She thought it was okay.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
So listen, I told you that I really do like this film. I will tell you that objectively, I do think Across the Spider-Verse, I think it's a greater work of animation. What I think The Boy and the Heron does better, I think it has more. I feel like its familial themes are a little more deeply grounded. I think it might be easier to resonate. I just think the sheer animation and scope of what Across the Spider-Verse is doing is absolutely insane, as compared to a more grounded story to what The Boy and the Heron doing. As always, it didn't seem like it this year, but there's always a little politics involved. Miyazaki, who directed this film, he's quite elderly, and this was at the time believed to be his last film.
That's true.
So I do believe that played a big part.
Absolutely.
Also, to that point, the Oscars just never shine too brightly upon superhero films, and usually in the case rightly so. However, in this case, any other year, Across the Spider-Verse is always going to be
it's going to
consideration.
Win it. And Into the Spider-Verse won it, and I personally like Across the Spider-Verse better as a whole. And I do think Across the Spider-Verse is one of the best to do it. It's on the IMDb Top 100 currently in a lot of capacities, and I do think it deserves some type of win. And it was kind of unfortunate, but I need to see The Boy and the Heron myself to kind of make that.
Yeah, I will say definitely go in and watch it. It was eye opening for me too, because I didn't watch it really until I saw all the nominations. Like I said, as far as spectacle wise, that Across the Spider-Verse is absolutely legendary. I understand why they went with what they did. I'm not arguing that it's a better film. I understand what they did. I understand kind of the politics behind it and just everything that's included. I was kind of intrigued by Chris Miller, his statement, who directed both movies, and he said, "Well, at least we lost to the GOAT."
Yeah.
So it was cool to see him at least paying some respect to that.
I agree.
But like I said, I was a little surprised.
Yeah. All right. So next one we got to talk about actor in a supporting role, and this one made me smile. So the nominations for this was Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer, Sterling K. Brown for American Fiction, Robert De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon, Ryan Gosling for Barbie, and Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things. What a lineup!
That's a lineup.
What a lineup!
I do think that Mark Ruffalo deserved a little more consideration than what he got. He was great in that one.
I feel like the top three contenders were for sure Mark Ruffalo, Sterling K. Brown, and Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
For this particular category. Mark Ruffalo in Poor Things. I mean, this was probably Mark Ruffalo's best performance.
Yeah.
That we've seen him in
comparatively.
He was something else in this movie. Comparatively others. Ryan Gosling getting this nomination. Honestly, he didn't technically necessarily deserve it, but it was fun to see him here. And he didn't even think he deserved it.
I know. It definitely was too, but like I said, at the end of the day, we're talking about Barbie, versus, Oppenheimer.
It was fun. And then Robert De Niro, he's won, and he's been here before.
He's done a lot of
yes, his performance in Killers was great, but compared to these others, it wasn't like the same level of Oscar-worthy contenders.
And when I was watching Killers, I love De Niro. A lot of times, especially with his later roles, they can feel a little repetitive as to who he's playing. But yeah, I definitely felt a little more from Ruffalo's performance and from Brown's performance, and especially from RDJ's performance.
Right. And then we have Sterling K. Brown, which also I thought was incredible in American Fiction. I thought in every aspect of the role did a great job in that capacity. And I feel like he was probably the second.
I do agree.
Second place.
I was pleasantly surprised by his performance, and I was not expecting it at all going into the movie, to be honest with you. I was sleeping on him, to be honest.
Yeah. And then we have Robert Downey Jr., who ended up winning this Oscar. And I'm not going to lie, I don't know why I did this, but when Kiwi Kwan announced Robert Downey Jr. the winner, I immediately started to weep. And I don't know why. I guess it was just the emotion about, like, Robert Downey Jr. is one of my favorites. I mean, obviously, I love Iron Man. I've grew up with this guy. I've watched his rise, ever since he had the lowest point. And this is the greatest comeback story in a long time.
So cool.
I mean, the fact that he was almost on his deathbed from the drugs and from the being in prison and everything that he's done, had 2 other nominations before then. And then Marvel bringing him back up to relevancy. Yeah. And then him coming back to Oppenheimer.
Ascended out of that superhero genre.
Right.
It's an insanely hard thing to do.
It is, to the next level with Oppenheimer under Chris Nolan and killing that role to the best ability. And then being announced winner for the first time, best actor in a supporting role. It made me tear up. I was emotional because I love this guy. His speech was hilarious. And it was great. It was emotional. And I was so excited to see Robert Downey Jr.
Absolutely well deserved. Obviously, he's admitted at times that he kind of thought that, while he's playing Iron Man, like, is there anything for me after this? Have I ruined my career by just doing this one character? Right. Obviously, that's not the case. He's he's one of one, a phenomenal actor who was born to do this.
I agree.
So like I said, it's so awesome to see him, kind of transcend these genres to win this award. I've been, looking back at clips on Oppenheimer, man, he was on something else when he was filming that movie.
I mean, as Louis Strauss, he's just incredible.
And he owes a lot of it to Christopher Nolan, too, just inspiring that confidence in him and letting him do what he does best.
Absolutely.
This is very well deserved.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, we're going to go over to the best directing. Oscars, we get to the nominations for this one was Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer.
Okay.
Justin Triat for Anatomy of a Fall. Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon. Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things.
Wow.
And Jonathan Glazer for The Zone of Interest.
It was stacked.
It was a stacked category.
That is stacked.
I feel like the second place was Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things. I feel like that was clearly second things. I think Martin Scorsese's always up there.
He's always in the conversation.
He's always in the conversation.
In the past.
He has. And then Jonathan Glazer and Justin Triat were also incredible in Anatomy of the Fall and The Zone of Interest. But I feel like out of these, nothing compared to Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a really competitive field. But
the fact that he has never won this before is baffling to me.
Yeah,
I mean, I think he should have won it for Memento. I think he should have won it for Interstellar. I think he probably should have won it for Inception. Probably even Dark Knight. All of these he should have won it for, but he finally got it with Oppenheimer here and a lot of other awards here, and definitely overdue. Christopher Nolan was incredible. His speech was humble. It was encouraging.
I know.
And just seeing everything that he did for Oppenheimer, the cinematography, the way he directed those actors, stunning performance. It was great.
Absolutely stunning.
Well deserved for sure.
Yeah, like I said, his speech hit the hardest, when he was talking about as an art form, cinema is about 100 years old, and he's truly honored to be a part of it. Man, that hit deep.
Absolutely.
Absolutely well deserved. Should have won, obviously before, but nothing but blue skies.
Absolutely.
Do you see that he's coming out with he's started writing a new movie?
I did see that, which I'm super excited
based
to see
on
what it'll be.
1960s show.
I am super excited to see what it'll go with that.
So we'll see.
With Universal once again. So I'm excited. All right, next Oscar is Best Music or Original Song from a Movie. And the nominations for that was What Was I Made For from Barbie by Billie Eilish and Phineas. The next one was The Fire Inside from Flamin' Hot. The next was I'm Just Ken from Barbie, performed by, of course, Ryan Gosling. It Never Went Away from American Symphony, performed music and lyrics by Jon Batiste. And then finally, A Song for My People from Killers of the Flower Moon. Now, this one,
that's
I feel like
wide.
It is a wide range. I feel like we can narrow it down to 3. What Was I Made For? It Never Went Away, and I'm Just Ken.
See, I don't think I'm Just Ken is in there.
See, this is my opinion.
It's a meme song, in my opinion.
It is.
Kind of like Jack Black Peaches.
It is.
A little better,
It is a meme song, and I agree that in that capacity. But it is funny. It's supposed to be funny, but that song is so good. And I feel like it impacted more than the rest of them. So that's why I feel like it's more in the conversation. Obviously, not necessarily deserving of the win, but it deserves a conversation. Obviously, no one's talking about any of the other performances from the Oscars the other night, except for I'm Just Kidding.
Yeah.
And it was such a great performance. Ryan Gosling kills it. And I do think it deserves to be in the conversation.
Yeah.
But obviously, it goes to What Was I Made For?
Yeah.
From Billie Eilish and Phineas O'Connell. I think it's a beautiful song. It encapsulates the movie of Barbie so well.
Very existential.
It is. And it's emotional. Nature. And it was super impactful. I
catch myself singing it sometimes.
Absolutely. I listen to it. It's on my playlist. I mean, it's a great song.
You know that TikTok trend of that one woman who goes, "Oh, the enjoyment," who duets it. She's funny.
Billie Eilish is incredible in that.
This was absolutely
good.
Absolutely well deserved. The best thing about it, it obviously fits right in with the movie's message. It was heard loud, heard clear. I was a big fan of Jon Batiste's song. He's a phenomenal
he's a great
musician, great artist, great piano player.
Absolutely.
But this one I think we all saw coming. But to be honest, I was.
And it won a Grammy too, so that's crazy.
Wow.
And Billie Eilish, this is her second Oscar at the age of, I think she's 23, 22, 23. She's in crazy.
What was her first one?
She won for No Time to Die from the James Bond
movie. Yes. She's probably like 20, 19 years old when she wrote that too.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
I just wonder, if I'm Just Ken makes it, then why Peaches, I guess, wasn't considered in that same category.
I guess it's because animation. They didn't really consider it.
Yeah.
But I do think Peaches deserved a nomination, but I understand why
I know
not.
that, honestly, I'm Just Ken is a better song. It's a little less memey.
Yeah.
Mimi.
But we'll see with that. All right, next one is Music Original Score Oscar. The nominations for that was Ludwig Göransson for Oppenheimer, Laura Cartman, American Fiction, John Williams, of course, the GOAT, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Robbie Robertson for Killers of the Flower Moon, and Jerskin Fendrix for Poor Things. And from what I heard, it was between Ludwig Göransson and John Williams.
Yeah.
Always John Williams, because, he's a classic.
A living legend, man. He's in the 90s or
He's
something
the best. He did Harry Potter, he did E.T., he did Star Wars. Jurassic Park, all of those. He did great with Indiana Jones. And it was great in Dial of Destiny, him coming back to redo that score.
Yeah.
But ultimately, Ludwig Göransson deserved it for Oppenheimer.
That music is so anxiety.
It was amazing. It made you feel like, oh, he's the destroyer of worlds.
Yeah.
And
you feel the stress,
and that's
and
the whole purpose of
from
music in movies, is to make you feel something.
Yeah, it manipulates your emotions.
Ludwig's amazing composition accomplished that in such a beautiful, elegant way, and I thought it was incredible.
Man, he rightfully deserved this one. To be honest, I had never heard of him before this movie. Yeah.
He did Black Panther, and he had won for Black Panther.
Did he actually?
No, he did.
This is
he
second
won the
Grammy?
Second Oscar. He won for Black Panther, and he did a few others. I'm trying to think of, I can't at the moment, but he did a few others you'd be familiar with as well. On top of
I was definitely confused why during his speech he was dissing video games instead. Thanking his parents that they gave him a guitar instead of video games, when some of the best soundtracks ever have come from video games. But I was like, all right, man, I'll let you have your.
So he did both Black Panthers and the Creed movies, and then Oppenheimer. He did Tenet.
That's a huge range, man.
Yeah, and apparently he did Central Intelligence.
Really Central
as well.
What was that 2015? I need to watch that movie.
You've never seen that? It's a funny movie. I enjoy that movie.
That looks really funny.
It is. All right, next one is Oscar for Actress in a Leading Role.
Okay.
The nominations were Emma Stone, Poor Things, Annette Bening for Inyad, Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, Sandra Hüller for Anatomy of the Fall, and Carey Mulligan for Maestro.
Yeah.
Also a stacked
lineup. Obviously, I think at the end of the day, it came down between Gladstone.
It did.
And Emma Stone.
It
they
came
both have
down
Stone.
between Emma Stone and Lily Gladstone for sure. I do think for when it comes to Annette Bening, she was good in Inyad, but again, I wasn't particularly interested in that movie.
Yeah, the movie.
She did well in that, but I honestly don't see the reason why she got nominated. I see the other one, but not her. And then Sandra Hüller also for a foreign actress to be nominated for Anatomy of the Fall also is
that's
cool
a
one.
huge honor.
It is a huge honor. And then Carey Mulligan, I know her mainly from Great Gatsby. But in Maestro, she had a really captivating performance. But I agree. It was Emma Stone, Lily Gladstone.
At
the end of the day. And I actually was shocked because I thought Lily Gladstone was winning.
I thought so too, especially, considering Emma's won before.
She's won before.
Was it La La Land that she won?
La La Land, and there's never been a Native American actor to win.
And I believe that this might have been one of her first roles.
It was.
I think it was maybe her first role.
She said in the interview she was about done with acting before she got on Dakota.
It's like that was her huge break.
Absolutely.
I love this movie. I definitely think it was a little bit slept on. I don't think it's one of Scorsese's best, but it's definitely up there.
Yeah.
But she's one of the best parts about this movie.
She's great.
Yeah.
But I do think at the end of the day, even though she has won before, Emma Stone's performance in Poor Things was worthy of the win.
Yeah.
I think it was incredible. Emma Stone has proven herself time and time again to be a very talented actress.
Yeah.
And proven herself once again here in Poor Things. And her speech was beautiful. I must say that. She was very humble in it. She wasn't expecting to win. And she's just super kind, super loving. And her being a 2-time winning actress in the leading role is just
that's insane.
Awesome reward, especially she's still pretty young.
You gotta think I don't think she's probably even 35 maybe.
She's early 30s probably.
She's probably early 30s.
And
that's insane.
That is an insane feat.
I've seen a lot of people just chirping in about she might be that actress for our generation.
She could be.
She
could be the next Meryl Streep.
Yeah,
she could very well be.
Two under her belt is.
And it's just
insane.
super cool to see. I mean, and she absolutely killed it, like we said, in that role.
Yeah, I mean, her role in Poor Things, man, it is twisted. She does some crazy stuff.
It's pretty messed up, but she kills it in that way.
She absolutely kills it, and she is very well deserving.
All right, next up is Oscar for Actor in a Leading Role. The nominations for this one was Bradley Cooper, Maestro, Coleman Domingo Rustin, Paul Giamatti, The Holdovers, Jeffrey Wright, American Fiction, and Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Great
this
lineup.
was crazy.
Great lineup.
I did like Wright's performance a lot.
Wright was great in American Fiction.
I didn't think it was going to win, but I liked it.
Paul Giamatti in The Holdovers, man.
Killer.
After watching, because I watched Holdovers recently.
He's so underrated, man.
I watched that movie recently, and I honestly actually contemplated myself. I was like, honestly, he deserves that Oscar.
Really?
After watching
it for real?
Because the way he captures the essence of a depressed high school teacher-esque in a private school was encapsulating. And he captured it so well. His speeches, not many of the students liked him, but he didn't like himself. And just that whole build of a relationship and how he crossed over into that, it was beautiful. And I think, honestly, the actor... it was between him and Cillian Murphy.
You think so?
Right. I do think it was between Bradley Cooper and Maestro was great. I just feel like
I don't think the movie was as good as The Holdovers or Oppenheimer. I do think that held it back a little bit.
It did.
Considering the fact too, it only released on Netflix. I think it hurt a little bit.
His performance was better than the movie, and that hurt
for sure.
And then Coleman Domingo did great as Bayard Rustin. Did a great job in that movie as well. I mean, it was good seeing that civil rights, activism and him being in that role and his role in that and everybody being against him and all of this stuff for what he was and what he believed. But at the end of the day, Cillian Murphy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Cillian.
He deserved it. Is it Cillian or is it Cillian?
It's Cillian,
but everybody pronounced it different. Because even at the Oscars, they did Cillian, they did Cillian. And even I go Cillian. So
I switched back. I'm pretty sure I've heard him call himself
back and
Cillian.
forth. Between it's Irish, so I don't know. But Cillian Murphy, I said it before. Cillian, whatever. Cillian Murphy. I apologize, Cillian Murphy, even though we'll never meet.
Yeah, I'm sure he's listening.
But for Oppenheimer, it was incredible. I mean, he killed it as J. Robert Oppenheimer in that role.
Yeah, man, just the whole movie. You're looking at this man who's worried that he's brought upon the destruction of the world, which essentially he has. And just that way, he's able to show off just the absolute guilt and stress that this one man bears is absolutely crazy. So shout out him, man. It's about time that people give Cillian his flowers for the awesome actor that he is. Right, this is his first one ever in a lead role. He's had some awesome performances, but I think from here he could be looking at another one.
Absolutely, I really agree. As he keeps being used, especially after being seen here, maybe other directors besides Chris Nolan will choose him now.
Yeah, him and Denis in a movie would be crazy.
Oh, that would be cool. Cast him in Dune, man. Cast him in Dune Messiah.
Yeah,
we'll see.
As an older Paul Atreides.
Yeah,
12 years later, he's Cillian Murphy.
We'll see. All right, next one. The final one is Best Picture, the Oscar for Best Picture, and the nominations were American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest.
I will say, those are all very deserving, but Godzilla -1 really got snubbed from this list.
A lot of the reason is it's very rare, and there are some foreign films on this list like The Zone of Interest and Anatomy of a Fall, but oftentimes foreign films don't get that nom. And it's sad, a shame. Man. And Godzilla -1 did get an Oscar for best.
Yeah, best VFX.
Best VFX.
Just crazy because it had a budget of $15 million.
But it would have been great to have seen it here as well.
I'm telling you, man, that was probably outside of Oppenheimer. I thought that was probably the second best movie I watched last year.
Yeah.
And that's saying a lot about a Godzilla movie, but I'm telling you, that's how well it's made.
Yeah.
I wish I at least got a nom.
For sure.
But
a nomination at least to
seeing Barbie in there
relevancy.
Instead of that, or maybe Maestro at that point.
Yeah, it is unfortunate.
Was unfortunate.
But I do think it ultimately came down to, with these nominations, Oppenheimer, American Fiction, and
do you think Killers of the Flower Moon is in that same?
It's not nominated. It was it was, but no, I don't think it was. I think Oppenheimer, American Fiction, The Holdovers, and then maybe Anatomy of the Fall are probably the ones that it come down to in the end.
Yeah.
Specifically, Oppenheimer and The Holdovers, I feel like are the two most deserving. But ultimately, Oppenheimer came out on top with it. Much deserved.
We saw that coming.
Everyone saw this movie, and it delivered in most all aspects when it comes to the Oscars. It was a fun watch, entertaining, and it was Best Picture of 2024 or 3. I mean,
it really was, man. Shout out Christopher Nolan and everyone involved in that project.
Absolutely, everyone involved.
Huge.
Emma Thompson, Robert Downey Jr., Cillian Murphy,
Florence Pugh,
Ludwig Göransson. All of these people
one guy
involved.
From the Disney Channel.
I know so many different people that were like on Disney, Nickelodeon.
Rami Malek.
Rami Malek that was in it for 3 seconds. Everyone that touched it, Michael Mitchell, Nathan Mauger.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Who were the atomic
Start the
bomb.
discourse about it.
Yeah.
They dropped us.
They dropped us as the atomic bomb.
Yeah, that's Chuck Norris, I think. all those.
Shaggy!
Chuck Norris, Shaggy. Oh my
Dude, he snapped his fingers, the bomb blew up.
Snapped his fingers.
That's
He's too powerful, man.
Oh, yeah,
too
for
powerful.
Sure. But Oppenheimer ultimately took 7 Oscars on the Oscar night.
That's
and
crazy.
Well deserved. And I think second was Poor Things. I think Poor Things took away 3 or 4.
Wow.
So that's also pretty
Poor Things
as well.
Because
last year was all Everything Everywhere All at Once or All Quiet on the Western Front. So it's kind of
and that was very well deserved.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. If you enjoyed this episode, let us know by giving us a review and a download. Our podcast, Here's in the Moment, is available on all major podcast platforms. So go ahead and check that out. If you want to stay up to date with all of our news, updates, announcements, check out our social media. Our Instagram at Heroes in the Moment.
And we just want to thank y'all for listening. And as always, we love you 3000.